y'all, hey, it's Naila and this is Girl What You Reading, and today I want to talk about those books that we just wish we could read again for the first time because yeah. So I know that, excuse my weird little poems going on over here, but we are doing Read Across America here at school, and today's theme was Thing 1 and Thing 2 from Dr. Seuss. And that really got me thinking about those books that I would love to read again for the first time. So let's do it. So listen, you ever finish a book and just ache to experience it again? Like, if you could just erase it from your memory and relive everything, like every twist, every gut punch, every breathtaking moment for the first time. Like, some books just hit you so hard, surprise you so much, or emotionally wreck you in a way that's impossible to recreate in a reread. Anyway, today I'm sharing 6 books that did exactly that for me. Let me know in the comments if any of these books did it for you also, or if you have something on your own that you want to let me know about. I'd love to hear about yours, right? Which books made you feel this way that you just had to read them again for the first time? So, book number 1 is Girl in Translation by Jean Kwok. And you guys know, me and names, especially last names, usually don't mix, but anyway, this book isn't just a coming of age story, it's a survival story. It follows Kimberly Chang, a girl who moves from Hong Kong to Brooklyn, New York with her mother. And y'all, the way Jean Kwok captures the immigrant experience, next level. There's a quiet, everyday struggle woven through the story that you don't always see in books. I guess that's where I'm going with this. The first time I read this, I wasn't just watching Kimberly's journey. I felt it. Like, I really felt like I was in there. Like, I felt like she was one of my best friends. Like, that's literally what I put in the review. I feel like I'm best friends with Kimberly. And so if I could read this again for the first time, I'd love to experience that slow realization of everything she's up against. How the weight of family, expectations, and survival shape her in ways you don't fully understand until later on in the book. Those things made me feel like I knew this girl, like I knew Kimberly. And because I knew that girl, I loved this book. Okay. Book number 2, Heavy by Kiese Laymon. I might be pronouncing that wrong again. But this memoir doesn't just tell a story, it confesses one. Like, there's so many pieces in this that are so heavy that the title makes complete sense. The way that he writes with such brutal honesty about family, identity, and the weight we carry both physically and emotionally. Like, heavy meant more than just he was a big boy. Like, there's a lot that goes into this. The first time I read it, I had to pause after certain lines just to breathe, because his words, they don't just sit on the page, they hit you. It's kind of a book that forces you to confront things that, like, confront things about yourself. And even when you weren't expecting it, here he comes with something that you're going to be like, wow. If I could read it again for the first time, I want to relive that raw, unfiltered impact that I got the first time. That feeling of being cracked open by his truth without knowing what was coming next. Like, that one right there, that's one you gotta pick up and read if you haven't already read it. Book 3, Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. Okay, I am a huge Trevor Noah fan, so of course I had to read Born a Crime. And if there's one book that proves storytelling is an art, it's this one. Trevor Noah's childhood in South Africa, growing up mixed race during apartheid, is wildly fascinating. Like, but what makes this book unforgettable is the way he tells it. Like, there's so much humor in it. There's so much warmth and so much heart. Like, you really get to know him as a person through this book. His mother is one of the most incredible women I've ever read about, like, ever. And to know that this is a true story, that this actually happened, and the relationship is everything, like, everything. So this book, the first time I read this, I thought I was just picking up a memoir, of somebody I loved, as a fan. I did not expect to laugh out loud one minute and get hit with some depth the next minute, like some deep critical thought, provoking truths the next. Like, he took me on a roller coaster with that one. If I could read it again fresh, I'd love to re-experience that perfect blend of hilarious and heartbreaking and heartfelt and thought-provoking. Like, how did he get all that in there? Because no one tells a story quite like Trevor Noah. We know this from listening to his comedy, but it's in the book too. It's in the book. All right, book 4, An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that one right. This book takes your heart, squeezes it, and doesn't let go. It's about love, loyalty, and the way life, throws impossible curves at you. Like, there are choices that people have to make that only happen because life happens. And, people who don't deserve the harshness that comes with that. The way Tayari Jones builds these characters, like, the emotional weight of this story is something you feel deep in your chest. Like, I was so mad at these characters at the end of it, but the first time I read it, I was completely unprepared for how real and layered it was. Like, the letters between Celestial and Roy, heartbreaking. They felt too personal. Like, I was intruding on something raw and intimate. If I could reread it, I think I would look for, I'd want to relive that slow unraveling, the feeling of not knowing whose side I was on with this, and in the heartbreak of realizing there are no easy answers to this. And so that's what made me mad, because I was like, ugh, but also in a good way. Like, I was mad in a good way. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know. Book 5, Beautiful Little Fools by Jillian Cantor. So Jillian read The Great Gatsby and said, you know what? Let me write a story from the woman's point of view. You know how sometimes a retelling makes you see an old story in a completely new light? So this is one of those books. Like, I love The Great Gatsby. I can't even say it, but I did love it, right? So this is a reimagining of The Great Gatsby from the perspective of Daisy, Jordan, and Myrtle. And let me tell you, this book, like, obviously I love The Great Gatsby, so of course I was gonna love this one, definitely. But this book changes everything that you thought about in that first one. It gives depth and agency to characters who were barely mentioned in the original. And it makes you rethink who Gatsby was or who killed him in a world in a way that's so satisfying. The first time I read this, I kept having these, ooh, so that's what that was really about, type situations going on. So if I could reread this again fresh, I'd love to experience those twists and revelations all over again without knowing if it all fits together by the end. It does, but I would really love to not know that. All right, book 6, The People We Keep by Allison Larkin. Some books don't just tell a story, they make you feel like you're living it. This one follows April, a young girl who's trying to find herself through music, chance encounters, and the kindness of strangers. It's quiet, but it lingers. It's the kind of book that stays with you long after you close it. Like, the first time I read it, I felt like I was traveling with April, meeting people, discovering the world through her eyes, that type of thing. If I could read it again for the first time, I want to re-experience that sense of limitless possibility, that feeling of not knowing what's next, but believing in the magic of the unknown. That book, it moved me, like all of the other books on this list. So those are the 6 books I wish I could read again for the first time. Each one gave me something unforgettable, whether it was an emotional gut punch, a perspective shift, or just that rare, pure magic of getting completely lost in a story. Now, I want to hear from you. What's the book that you desperately wish you could read again for the very first time? Drop it in the comments. I need to add to my TBR. No, I don't. It's long enough, but we're going to add to my TBR today. What's that book for you? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more bookish content. And as always, happy reading. Bye.